Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tom Baker Show. It is great to be with you wherever you are tuning us in from. We are really happy to have you, and we have got a full show here. This is really going to be quite an interesting show for a couple of reasons. One, we are going to talk NASCAR and trial, but not until later on. We're going to start with some short track stuff because, boy, have the short track wires been burning up with news and controversy, all that good stuff. I am joined now by my Steering Wheel Nation senior news editor, Jacob Seelman. And Jacob, wow, the Snowball Derby finally ended at about 4 o'clock this afternoon, or Rainball Derby, as I nicknamed it over the weekend, because all it did was rain. And Jacob, before we even get there, I know that look, and that look says you got something of breaking news. So go ahead and hit your sound effect, Jacob.
Breaking news. This just in, y'all, on the topic of dirt track racing. Donnie Schatz will be back on the Outlaws for 2026 in a partnership with not what we expected. Everybody thought he was going to Big Game Motorsports to be a teammate to David Gravel. That will not be the case. He will actually be going to the Chad Clemens-owned CJB Motorsports operation, and he is going to have Hall of Fame crew chief Barry Jackson on the wrenches for his 30th World of Outlaws season full time, this coming literally as we were getting ready to start the taping of this show. Donnie Schatz and the familiar number 15. Yes, the CJB car will carry Donnie's 15. Back on the Outlaws for 2026. I'm going to be particularly interested, Tom, and Barry Jackson has worked with the likes of David Gravel, Paul McMahon, and many other very, very talented sprint car drivers over the years. CJB's got 52 World of Outlaws victories on tour over the years. They last ran full-time 2 years ago with Spencer Baston. This is a big deal, and this is, if it wasn't going to be Big Game Motorsports, this is arguably the biggest place that Donnie Schatz could have landed for 2026. I think he and Barry Jackson could well be a very, very interesting pairing to watch.
Wow. That is a bombshell to start this show. I did not have that on my bingo card for 2026 for Shotzi, but I'm inclined to agree with you. But that is absolutely crazy. And the fact that it gets announced as we lead into PRI week here, Performance Racing Industries Trade Show, happening at Indianapolis this week. And so we'll have a slew of major announcements that will go on. And of course, the show actually starts a little bit later this week, but everybody is preparing, and the news cycle of breaking news will be endless, I'm sure, throughout the week. But that's a tremendous pairing, and I guess I'm not surprised to see Donnie Schatz running the Outlaws tour rather than High Limit.
That part wasn't surprising. It was just the CJB piece of it that really got my attention.
Yeah, I'm really stunned by that. What do you make of that? Like that, because we had heard nothing about that anywhere in the rumor mill. So, what do you make of how that all came about?
Well, what I make of that is, and we saw Donnie run a little bit with Big Game after he split from Tony Stewart Racing earlier this year. But Big Game and Todd Queering's companies, GoMuddy.com, Big Game Tree Stands, et cetera, have always had a sponsorship partnership with CJB Motorsports, or did for many, many years. So I wouldn't be surprised if a little bit of that influence is still behind the scenes after Donnie ran a little bit for Big Game as a teammate to Gravel earlier this year. But I think the biggest thing that sticks out to me is, okay, if Donnie's in a CJB car on the Outlaws Tour, now what happens to Brenham Crouch, who ran with CJB on High Limit this year? He's a bright young racer too, who really, I felt, improved a lot the second half of the season. So to me, that's the biggest unanswered question at this point, is now with Donnie signing an Outlaws deal with CJB for 26. Does any of this change what we believed was going to happen with Brenham Crouch being back with High Limit in a CJB entry next year? So a lot of that still to be decided. And Tom, you mentioned, as we tape this show, getting ready to head into PRI Week 2025, where usually we get about 10,000 news stories over the course of that week. So over the next few episodes of the Tom Baker Show, we'll have even more to talk about coming out of PRI. But as you alluded to, I want to get back to now, after that, the fact that we did have the crown jewel of super late model racing a mere 2 or 3 hours before beginning taping this show. As you mentioned, I think I called it the Rainfall Derby instead of the rain ball, because I don't know how you turn rain into a ball personally. But anyway,
snowball, rain ball.
300 laps.
But I like yours better.
300 laps. Super late models, Five Flags Speedway, Pensacola, Florida. The as some would say, the granddaddy of them all when it comes to super late model racing. My apologies to those Knoxville Raceway that just heard me say that. Forgive me, for I have sinned. I'll do my penance later. Stephen Nasse versus Ty Majeski, because it seems like it's always these two over the past 6 or 7 years when it comes to the end of the Derby. And wouldn't you know it, a Snowball Derby ended in controversy. Again, who would have ever thunk that?
Shocker.
Ty Majeski dominates this race, leads 223 of 300 laps, including a stint in the middle of the race in between caution flags, where he led 100 laps all in a row in that 91 car on older tires, I might add. This thing was good on new tires, on old tires. The only thing that threw me off all day was the fact that he debuted the Menards sponsorship on it that he's going to have at ThorSport Racing in the Truck Series next year. So instead of the traditional black and white 91, I had to look for neon yellow, which wasn't hard to find. It just really broke my brain a couple of times. But suffice it to say, Ty Majeski had this race in the bag. He led by 5 seconds at one point, but he jumps 2 late restarts, Tom, and in my estimation, literally throws this race away. When you have a car that dominant, there's no need to play games on the restarts, even when you have Stephen Nasse alongside you. I don't think there was any way Nasse stays close enough for Majeski to have to worry about this. And yet he jumps 2 restarts, gets black flagged. They stop scoring him. Stephen Nasse is flagged the winner. Ty tries to protest, which gets thrown out. Nasse, who was, by the way, failed post-race tech after crossing the line first in 2019 when he lost the race that year because of tech, gets it back off somebody else's misfortune this year, and finally, in his 15th try, gets the Tom Dawson Trophy. The only driver that maybe wanted and was lauded as a driver that was looking and has been looking for the Snowball Derby win more than Stephen Nasse is Bubba Pollard. Nasse, arguably the second biggest figure in super late model racing, and gets the job done to the tune of 50 grand. I mean, and I've heard the crowd, I in person heard the Pensacola crowd boo Nasse a lot. I didn't hear much other than cheers when he climbed out in victory lane at the end of this one, Tom. I mean, that crowd absolutely loved it.
Well, first off, I'm going to tell Steven that you called him the second biggest figure in late model racing. He's probably not going to be happy about that because he's lost some weight here lately. But yeah, Steven was phenomenal. But the race definitely was all about Ty Majeski, right? And I agree with you totally
Sure.
that Ty did not need to jump either of those two restarts. He had stunk up the show by leading 223 laps. There was no question that he was going to win the race unless Stephen Nasse turned him, which isn't really out of Stephen's it's something you've seen from Steven before, right? But I don't think he'd have caught him. I mean, Ty was phenomenal on every restart, and I think he had the race won. But here's my take on this. I hate restart boxes. Restart boxes are so dumb. I don't know who thought we needed them, but for decades, the flagger threw the green and then everybody went and restarted the race. I don't know where we ever got into this restart box crap, but all it does is cause problems like this. And so I obviously can't defend Ty Majeski, but I don't know. It just every time we have one of these moments where somebody jumped 3 inches too early, right? It just drives me crazy. So
the first one was more than 3 inches too early, Tom. Let's be real. And Ty admitted in his
Ty the first one was 3 car lengths.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Ty admitted to that one. The second one was borderline, but I watched the video back a few times afterwards, and I see why they called it, and I think it was the right call.
Oh, it was
honestly.
a great call. It was the right call. I'm just not a fan of the box. I think you eliminate a lot of this crap when you have the flagger throw the green. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I mean, the race itself, because of Majeski, was really not that exciting because there was never a moment really once Majeski got out front where I thought for a second he was ever going to lose the race unless something happened.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of action behind him, and we had, I mean, my gosh, the LCQ for this race was an all-star event. Kyle Busch was one of the drivers in it. He got into the race and drove right up into the top 10 and was running really well for a while, and he had issues, ended up a couple laps down. But if you took out Majeski, and I don't mean took him out, but except for Majeski leading all the laps, the racing behind him was really competitive all day.
It was. It absolutely was. And I'll add to this. I want to give a hat tip to Dawson Sutton, who comes up second in this race. I mean, continues the run he had. He had 3 wins and a second in his last 4 super late model races going into the Derby. Comes up with another second place finish and looks very much like a driver who has gained some confidence and could be one maybe to take the next step and become more of a contender in the top 10 on a regular basis in the Truck Series for 2026. Now that he's got a year in those vehicles under his belt. Jake Garcia, third from 30-something. I believe it was 32nd he started and comes all the way to third. Garcia with Ricky Turner, who was formerly the Chase Elliott mastermind for so many of Chase's early Snowball Derbies. Like you said, a lot of great stories. Preston Peltier starting on the pole for his final Derby, ran in the top 10 a lot of the race before he got shuffled back late. I think Casey Klein in fourth was tremendous.
Incredible.
After getting dropped from his ride for the Derby a year ago and comes back, runs fourth this time around. I think the only true shock for me was that the defending Derby winner, Kaden Honeycutt, was really a non-factor all race long. He got up as high as 8th at one point in the final 100 laps before a mechanical failure took him out of it with 42 to go, ended up 26th in this race. But Kaden just never even made any noise in this one. So disappointed for that.
Right.
And David Gilliland too ran up in the top 5, top 3 a couple
Oh,
times.
yes.
49,
Yes.
49 years old, the oldest driver in the field, and David shows
Yeah.
he's still got a little bit of fire in him. I loved that a lot for him.
Should have been sponsored
Pro
by
late, yeah.
Geritol.
David would look at you and go, "Hey, man, I'm not that old yet."
Well, I'm older than him, but
Oh my
I
gosh.
mean, you get,
Yeah. I want to shift gears to pro late models for a minute because we go from the oldest driver in the Derby field in David Gilliland to the youngest ever winner of the Snowflake in Kevin Harvick's son Keelan, who at 13, the first year they extend this race 25 extra laps to 125 from 100, Keelan at 13 goes out and wins this race way past his bedtime. This race didn't get over till 4:30 East Coast time Sunday
3:30.
morning before the race. Yeah, 3:30 Central
I
time,
think it was
4:30
3:30.
East Coast
Oh, was
time.
it Central? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it was 3:30 Central, 4:30
I
Eastern.
got you.
Keelan wins the race. I just got to ask you, Tom. You and I have watched Keelan race legend cars, now come up into Cars Tour pro late models. He's run against his dad some, but this by far the biggest moment of his racing career to this point. Is this a signal of just how bright his future is, you think?
Well, I mean, of course, right? I mean, number one, he's Kevin Harvick's kid, right? So just
Yeah.
that right there guarantees him a future. But let me tell you something about this kid. First of all, I love that I'm seeing all over the internet people saying, you know what, despite being a, daddy's money kid or whatever, the spoiler rich kid thing, he is so polite and he's so good with the media. Here's what's funny about Keelan. He's got the funniest speech tick that I've ever seen in motorsports with a young driver. Every single answer to every single question starts with this: yes or yeah. Every single answer, yes or yeah. Even if the answer is no, he goes yes or yeah, and then says no. It's hilarious, but he is so polite.
Yeah,
And
he is.
I'm not making fun of him. I'm actually complimenting
No,
him.
no,
It's
no.
just funny that it's the same thing. You can count on it. And
Yep.
it's so funny because I've interviewed him a couple times, and he is just so humble, and he's such a
He is.
he's kind of a playful little kid when it comes to,
Sure.
he's just happy to be there. But let me tell you something, you put a helmet on that kid and send him out and
Oh
throw a
my
green,
goodness.
and that kid is turning into a really good racer. You know that it's easy to go fast by yourself, but when you start having to
Yep.
run in traffic with the best in the business, and Keelan is learning every race, you can see that kid getting better. And I think he's probably going to develop into an even better driver than Kevin ever was.
Ooh, that's a huge statement because Kevin is one of the best of
Yes.
his era that there is. So no, big words right there. Three quick hitters on the dirt side. Bobby Pierce takes home the $70,000 top prize for dirt late models in the Gateway Dirt Nationals at the Dome in St. Louis.
Great
Led
race.
every lap of the finale. Yeah, except for Bobby Pierce, it was a great race. Kind of like except for
Right.
Ty Majeski, the Derby was a
Exactly.
great race. Bobby led every lap of the finale on Saturday. It was his 32nd overall dirt late model win this season. 32 for the 32, as we've kind of dubbed it. Second big hitter is we will have the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series versus the World of Outlaws Dirt Late Model Series at Muskingum County Speedway in Ohio next year. Non-points midweek event pitting the best of both series against one another. Possibility of an expansion if this one goes well. Potentially for 2027. I'm going to love seeing the stars of both series. It's an all-star race if there ever was one, and I hope both tours decide that this needs to be something that gets blown up in a bigger way going forward because I love the concept. And the World of Outlaws sprint car schedule getting released a couple days ago. 86 races for 2026. The biggest news for me, the short track nationals, which for a long time was at I-30 Speedway in Arkansas. It's since moved to Texarkana 67 Raceway, now promoted by former driver turned track promoter Tim Crawley, is going to be back with 410 sprints as an Outlaws show in 2026. And the biggest fear that I have with the Outlaws, Tom, possibly no races in California for the first time in decades. And that scares me a little bit for how many strong Outlaws competitors through the years, the Buddy Kofoids, the Carson and Cole Macedos of the world, have come out of the Golden State. It would break my heart if we don't have an Outlaws race in the state of California next year.
Yeah, I'm not really too sure what to make of that. But I know that in this day and age, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter whether there's a race there or not. Obviously, if you're from there and you're racing sprint cars, I first of all, I think eventually you're going to see some races added there. But even if we don't, I mean, I still think you're going to get those drivers coming out of California to race with the Outlaws. I don't think High Limit's going to own the state of California or anything. As to the World of Outlaws late model and Lucas Oil match race, if you will, I hope more series and short track racing see this and decide to do the same thing, because doggone it, short track racing needs this kind of co-promotion. And it's good to see that two series can actually set their egos aside long enough to do something for the good of the sport as a whole, which is going to bring them both a whole bunch of publicity. So I am super excited about this, and can't wait to see that, and hope that it is the first of multiples. And on that note, we are going to step aside. When we come back, we're going to carry on with much more of the Tom Baker Show, including some talk about NASCAR and a couple of cool conversations for the last lap later as well. Stay with us. For over 50 years, FHS Superior Synthetic Oil has powered high-performance engines with unbeatable protection and speed. Whether it's drag racing, go-karts, sprint cars, stock cars, or your daily driver, FHS stands for high speed and delivers every time. Their advanced synthetic oils boost your engine's responsiveness, acceleration, and efficiency, giving you the winning edge on every lap. Visit FHSoil.com today to find the right products for your engine. FHSoil.com.
Attention track and series owners, elevate your fan experience with the TrackTune app. TrackTune works with your PA system. Fans and teams at the track can hear the announcers through their phones, ensuring everyone hears race calls, sponsor plugs, and more during race nights. It's simple to set up, affordable, and free for fans to download and enjoy. Visit tracktune.live for all the details and join tracks nationwide on the app today.
For race fans across the United States, GetInTheStands.com is the place to find racetracks where you live and where you're traveling. Just go to GetInTheStands.com and enter your location. You'll see the tracks within 100 miles of that point, either as a list or on a map. GetInTheStands.com is 100% free to use and mobile friendly. So whether you're on a computer, a tablet, or on your phone, there's no need to download an app. To find racetracks across the United States, open your web browser and head to GetInTheStands.com. GetInTheStands.com, your racetrack directory.
Welcome back to the show as we continue. And again, wherever you're tuning us in from, we are certainly happy to have you. We are going to talk some NASCAR and some F1 in this segment. So buckle up, Jacob. Kaden Honeycutt, this in the category of news we already knew, is now officially the driver of the TRICON number 11 for 2026, taking over for Corey Heim, who probably could have won just about every race this year and nearly did. And I guess the question is, first of all, you and I have known Kaden a while. Can you believe, because I can't, honestly, can you believe this opportunity for him?
I love every minute of this for Kaden.
Me too.
He has busted his butt to get to this point, and he called this He called this to me not long after the announcement. A career opportunity for him. This is the chance for him to show what he's made of in absolutely the premier equipment in the sport in that series. I don't think it's a stretch to say that he's the championship favorite, at least preliminary, going into the 2026 season. That equipment with crew chief Scott Zipadelli, and we've already seen Kaden can adapt very quickly. Look what he did in the Friesen 52. He jumps into that equipment and ends up making a championship 4 run, goes on to finish third in points in with a team that he only had 7 weeks with. At the end of this season, after running the first 2/3 of the year with Nice Motorsports, I'm saying right now that barring the earth opening up and swallowing the truck series, Kaden Honeycutt is going to be back in the championship 4 next year and have a shot to run for a title with TRICON. And I don't think that that is an exaggeration by any stretch. That 11 truck is as good as anything in the sport right now, and I think Kaden will continue that 1000%.
Oh, I agree. For those who aren't familiar with Kaden, I mean, so many fans just sort of automatically lump all of these young kids into the sort of, rich daddy sort of thing. That's not the case for Kaden at all. Kaden had to work very hard and produce wins in multiple divisions on multiple surfaces, dirt and pavement, that is, to get to this opportunity. And it's incredible to see somebody like Kaden from Texas, blue collar kid, to be able to finally get a shot in top equipment. Now, the interesting thing is, Jacob, that the sort of burden that goes with this blessing is that you're in the best truck in the sport. Now you got to produce, right? So the pressure is going to be on Kaden to go and finish races. Not so much win every race. Nobody's going to expect him to go out and have a Corey Heim season, but finish races. And that's going to be where Kaden's going to have to make the biggest jump, because, that's always been, and a lot of it's just bad luck, but he's got to finish races. He's going to be expected to run for championships in this truck. And I think he can.
I think he can too. Absolutely. In other news that is familiar to everyone right now, the 2311 and Front Row versus NASCAR antitrust courtroom lawsuit is now, as we tape this show, in its second week. Among those that have already given testimony and been on the stand: Denny Hamlin, Scott Prime from NASCAR, Steve O'Donnell from NASCAR, Michael Jordan, Heather Gibbs, and others. And I'm curious, Tom. I mean, we've had a lot of material now in 6 days in the courtroom. What do you feel the vibe is from everything that we've seen? I think one of the biggest points from the first week is that Michael Jordan finally laid out why he even decided to take NASCAR to court in this lawsuit, where he said permanent charters were a point of contention and feels they're a necessity in this environment for teams to be successful from a business standpoint, and that NASCAR was not in consideration at all in wanting to institute those, as well as a lack of governance from the team side, wanting the teams to have more of a voice in the sport as a whole. I mean, what from everything that you've seen, what do you feel the vibe is right now? What do you are the teams gaining momentum here, do you think?
Well, before I answer that, can you and I at least agree that this whole last week or 7 or 8 days has taken silly season to a whole other level? Can we at least agree on that? If nothing else,
yes, we can. And Judge Bell is out of his mind with some of this stuff. He wants the teams to be done by Friday of week 2. I don't think that's going to happen. They don't. Nobody thinks that's going to happen at this point. And Judge Bell says if we get to a third week, he thinks the jury's going to revolt. I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Well, I don't know if the jury will revolt or not, but I'm sufficiently entertained. That's what I know. But to answer your question, I honestly right now, I mean, because there's two things here. First of all, there's the court of public opinion. In the court of public opinion, I think unless you're just a Denny Hamlin or Michael Jordan hater, because I mean, nobody hates Bob Jenkins or anybody in front row, right?
Exactly.
Unless you're just a hater of either of those two, in the court of public opinion, NASCAR is getting destroyed right now with just the texts and the things that have come out, right? But legally, we got to remember this all has to rise to the legal level of antitrust. And I don't know if legally, even though we see monopoly, there's a difference between monopoly and antitrust. And so I don't know that this, I can't really say where we're at legally here yet. But I can tell you this, I'm sure NASCAR is regretting this whole thing because, like I said, a lot of the texts and the things that have even been said as the folks have testified, it does not look good for NASCAR right now. It's certainly not a good look at all.
No, not at all. A lot still to be decided, obviously, on that front, and there will be more to follow for those that are looking for the information. We'll have more to follow on steeringwheelnation.com as this continues to roll on. Formula One, you mentioned, Tom, we were going to get there. Finished their season up in Abu Dhabi. Max Verstappen wins the battle, but does not win the war for Red Bull. That answer goes to McLaren's Lando Norris, who wins his first F1 World Driving Championship by 2 points over Max in the end. 35th different champion in the sport's history. So I will ask you, now that McLaren has swept both the driver and constructor crowns, Tom, for the first time since 1998, is this the start of a new era in F1?
Boy, well, here's the problem. Yeah, I want to say yes, but we've got these new rules coming in, right? I mean, what's going to happen to everybody when all of these new regulations take place? I think it certainly says that McLaren is here and they're equal with Red Bull, and we've definitely got the competition at this point. The start of a new era, I don't know, because it all could change. I think Aston Martin is going to be vastly improved next year with the new personnel they got. I mean, we don't know where all this goes once all of these new regulations take place, do we?
No, you're right. I don't think we do. And I think that's going to be the most interesting thing to all of this is who nails the new regulations for the first year next year. Real quick, before we have to do a little more business, can Ferrari, and in particular, can Lewis Hamilton bounce back next year after just a dreadful 2025 season by anybody's standards? I felt so terrible for Lewis this year.
I don't know. It feels like it's just all out of sync. I mean, Ferrari fell off the cliff. I don't understand. I can't believe Lewis Hamilton's done, but it sure feels like it. It just feels, because even his last year with Mercedes was abysmal by his standards. I just don't know if Lewis has got what it takes to run for a championship anymore. And again, all we can hope for is maybe with the new regulations that Ferrari finds something that they've lost in a hurry. It just was not a good year for Ferrari at all.
No.
With that, we're going to step aside. We're going to take a break. When we come back, last lap and lots of good stuff to talk about in that segment. Stay with us.
Attention track and series owners, elevate your fan experience with the TRICON app. TRICON works with your PA system. Fans and teams at the track can hear the announcers through their phones, ensuring everyone hears race calls, sponsor plugs, and more during race nights. It's simple to set up, affordable, and free for fans to download and enjoy. Visit tracktune.live for all the details and join tracks nationwide on the app today.
For over 50 years, FHS Superior Synthetic Oil has powered high-performance engines with unbeatable protection and speed. Whether it's drag racing, go-karts, sprint cars, stock cars, or your daily driver, FHS stands for high speed and delivers every time. Their advanced synthetic oils boost your engine's responsiveness, acceleration, and efficiency, giving you the winning edge on every lap. Visit FHSoil.com today to find the right products for your engine. FHSoil.com.
For race fans across the United States, GetInTheStands.com is the place to find racetracks where you live and where you're traveling. Just go to GetInTheStands.com and enter your location. You'll see the tracks within 100 miles of that point, either as a list or on a map. GetInTheStands.com is 100% free to use and mobile friendly. So whether you're on a computer, a tablet, or on your phone, there's no need to download an app. To find racetracks across the United States, open your web browser and head to GetInTheStands.com. GetInTheStands.com, your racetrack directory.
Welcome back to the show. It is time for our last lap segment. Jacob, what you got?
Well, it's not really what I've got tonight. It's what you've got. You have a lot to get to in starters because you were at the most recent race at Millbridge Speedway down the road in Salisbury, North Carolina. But you also have a lot of news to get to. So I'm just going to kind of dust my hands off, sit back, and let you take the steering wheel here.
Oh, okay. Well, that we can do. So let's start at the Millbridge Speedway, as Jacob mentioned, just up the road a piece here in Salisbury, North Carolina. They had their first race of their Winter Series this past Saturday. Lightning London McKenzie, who made his name in legend car racing with a national championship. It is won now 2 races at Millbridge this season on the dirt for Kyle Beatty Racing an SKE chassis. Picked up the win in his winged micro debut, brand new car, first time with a wing on top for London at Millbridge. He cruised. He was half a track ahead at one point over Tyler Lupton and Gavin Marlin. Colt Bailey also won his first ever micro sprint feature in the R micro class, beat out Riley Hutchins and Carter Smith. Rocco Zipadelli, the son of NASCAR Craftsman truck crew chief Scott Zipadelli, won the PRC box stock main over Thomas Mullins and Will Spencer. Coco Halpane scored the victory in beginner box stock over Mikey Speeney and Wyatt Tucker. Ben Buzzy, son of longtime racer Tom Buzzy, beat Mason Treader to the line. This one was a thriller, watching those two little junior wing racers duel it out. It was the last lap pass at the line that won it for Buzzy. Dylan Borman was third in that one, and Ashton Fleming beat out Leo Zipadelli and Lincoln Hill in the cadet class. The next race at Millbridge is December the 20th. And now we have an announcement to make. I've been excited to make this announcement for a couple of weeks now. It's been a long time since sim racing came into my world, but I've always wanted to be involved with it. I just didn't want to do it in gratuitous fashion just to jump in and be part of the trend. Well, Steering Wheel Nation is now dipping into the sim world in a pretty big way. First of all, we have teamed with Jack Dowell Motorsports. Now, for those of you not familiar with Jack Dowell Motorsports who may be into sim, Jack Dowell is a veteran-owned racing simulator business that was founded, believe it or not, during the quarantine in 2020. It started as a hobby. Now he's got 3 real retired NASCAR chassis, all converted into full racing simulators that made their debut at NASCAR's 75th anniversary celebration at Darlington. And now JDM has become a well-known name in the sim racing and esports world too. And so we are teaming with Jack Dowell Motorsports to put on a 12-race NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series Sim Series on Friday nights beginning January 9th. We're going to run one show a month on Friday nights. And The 4 of those races will support charitable causes. Each winner gets a trophy. The winner view will be featured on this show, and we'll have pre and post race coverage, team features, and more as the season rolls on. And also, there is a second series. Holy cow. We have got a second series. It is NASCAR type modifieds at the Oswego Speedway. It will be a wintertime series only, hosted on the legendary Fast 5/8 of a mile on the sim. Expect appearances from several real Oswego drivers who will test their digital skills, and at least one legend of the Speedway. And again, trophies, TV coverage, pre and post race content. It's all part of the Inside Group Pit Pass, the first ever motorsports fan community that's launching on Monday, December 22nd. And it will be $9.95 a month. Subscribers will get exclusive content, both sim racing and real short track racing, contests, live events, product discounts, opportunities to compete in the sim leagues, no algorithms, no spam, just racing and fun. The Inside Group Pit Pass is going to be part of the Steering Wheel Nation Media Network. And again, the community is open to anyone that wants to join. It is an actual fan-first community. Will function much like a Facebook group. We're going to have live events, audio chats, video, all kinds of stuff, plus exclusive content found only inside the community. And of course, you'll have to be a member of the community in good standing in order to compete in the 2 sim series. But we're trying to do something a little bit different for the sport and bring some fans together in a way that takes us just for a little while every day off the socials and away from the algorithms and all of the crap, honestly, that gets forced into our feeds there, and into a place where we all could just get together, talk racing, and have a good time. And that's what we're aiming for with this. So the Inside Group Pit Pass launches, as I said, the 22nd of December, and we'll have more information on our socials at The Wheel Nation, Facebook, X, and Instagram as everything gets closer. So stay tuned. But we're excited to work with the folks at Jack Dowell Motorsports. My UK driver, Finn Robinson, who is part of our SWN driver family, is actually involved with Jack Dowell. And he and his partner, it's going to be a lot of fun to do that NASCAR series, but I'm going to enjoy the Oswego series just as much. So that is a bit of news that we've been wanting to release for a couple weeks now. But Jacob, you were involved in the sim world for a while, and hopefully maybe we'll get you to do a drop-in now and then on the series, calling the races with me. But it's a pretty big deal for Steering Wheel to get involved in sim, because it's something we've talked about for a while. I just didn't want to do it just to say we were doing it, but now we got the right people.
Yeah. You and I talked about that, and it's funny that you say that. Talk about a throwback. That's pretty much where I started, was covering the eNASCAR Pro Series for years. And of course, our SWM producer, Chris Murdoch, and I teamed up back in the old LSR.
That's right.
Days. So,
that's right.
Yeah,
that's how we all met. Yeah.
That's right.
Well, you're right. That's it. Okay, well, we're back in the sim world in a big way, and we're excited about it. So stay tuned to our SWN social channels for all the information, and we're looking forward to starting the new year with all of that. So again, for more great content, steeringwheelnation.com, at The Wheel Nation on Facebook, X, and Instagram. Until next time, for everyone here at Steering Wheel Nation and our PowerTube TV folks as well, I'm Tom Baker. So long.